Hello everyone, I am re-recording my video on Oppenheimer, the movie, and his quote from the Bhagavad Gita, and because I just couldn't get the sound to come out, so I'm having to do it again. I think that when I first recorded it, I was really, in the zone when I recorded it, off of the first reactions of the movie and what people said about it. So this will likely be a shorter video with just the highlights of the points that I had wanted to make in the last one. So if anybody has questions or comments, I can, maybe that'll help spark my memory of what I had originally wanted to say in this video. But one of the things that I wanted to mention is there are two levels to the Bhagavad Gita. There's one that's sort of like the outer physical world level, where you could be discussing about what people would call like a just war, like war having justifiable reasons to go into war. One of which would be to fight great evil, right? To stop great evil from taking over the world, right? And so, and the other one is at another level, it really is talking about the internal struggle, the internal war to shed the illusionary world, shed our limited thinking, and to remove the blockages that connect us to our soul, that prevent us from connecting to our soul, and thereby experiencing all the joy and happiness that we all hope to find in life. So, so there's those two levels. Sort of like it's the outer physical world explanation of trying to have give reasoning for why he needed to go into battle, and then at the other level, it's talking about the spiritual struggle, which in Hinduism is called self-realization, but one might also call it, connecting to, one's soul. So that's how I say it, because that's, that's how I refer to it. So, but one of the interesting things is that Oppenheimer's quote is, he says, now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. And so he had learned Sanskrit, and it's very likely that it was his own translation, from that he made interpreted this way. But a very common translation for it is this is what the phrase actually says, is that I am mighty time, the source of destruction that comes forth to annihilate the worlds. So essentially what I say, that time is the destroyer of all, and all events in nature get buried in time. So that in essence, that no matter what, I guess, the prince did in the Bhagavad Gita, is that people were gonna die anyway, whether it was in this war or in the future from some sickness or other accident, or old age. As time passes, all of us will no longer be here, and so so if, and I guess the idea, the idea of reincarnation, that also that people die, and when they die they reincarnate. So if part of their lesson is to learn that they are, I guess, bringing evil into the world, or a lot of negativity, and then maybe the lesson for the other part is to stop that negativity, and that what their actions were wrong, right? So that you in trying to support the goodness of the world and do what's best for humanity, therefore there might be a root, then you would need to protect humanity and fight fight evil, to eliminate it from the world. So that was, a lot of people, in ethics would call that, could call that, reasons for a just war, right? So but I'm not really going to get into all that. But so, one of the things I wanted to say about this is I found it very interesting that he chose to in translate that particular quote in that way. And so I think that it shows, one, how people tend to read sacred texts and then put their own personal experiences and perspective in that analysis. And I think this is an excellent example of that. That because he was in the throes of creating the atomic bomb, that he knew that it could destroy worlds, and so I think he therefore took that quote and sort of made it, in some ways, translated it to have its own meaning for him. So I think it's very interesting, but not unusual that we all do that. So if anybody who's ever read a sacred text like the Hebrew Bible or the New Testament or the Quran, a lot of people read it from their own perspective, and this is why there's a lot of debate. Oftentimes there's a lot of debate and conflict over what it really means, and is because people read it from their own perspective, and they interpret things from their own perspective, and they also fill in the blanks. If something is not said, the mind will fill in the blanks in between there, or with your own experience. And then this is why it's really important, if you sit around with other people, and I would have encouraged Oppenheimer, had I been there, to do that, is that you need to sit in a group of people, and you need to discuss the text and its meaning, and you'll find, and then he would have found that people do in fact interpret it in different ways. And so, and that only helps you to get a deeper fuller meaning of the text. It would also help you get better understanding of how different people see different things. And so you really start to really understand people's perspective, and that it is I don't want to say limited, but it's uniquely it is limited, and it's uniquely their own. And this is why conflict arises, and this is why wars happen, because everybody sees things through their own lens, through their own experience, through their own trauma, and therefore what they call project things onto situations and people from that trauma and from those experiences, and that makes them I guess come to certain conclusions that they act upon. And so people may have different ideas and different perspectives, and so therefore there's conflict, right? This could be from arguments with someone with a friend, co-workers, to governments and countries having wars. And so it's important to understand that there isn't just one perspective. So I think that this is why, when you hear, like in the United States, or really in the world, that we're trying to replace an older belief system with new belief system, but in anything, there's just not just, I guess the belief systems are continually evolving, because until everybody gets to the point where they're all fully connected to their soul and live through that in this world, it's going to be constant interaction of limited perspectives and limited thinkings, that conclusions are technically going to be wrong, and so even though we all know or have a good idea of what people might consider right actions and right behavior, most people don't actually do it, and that's because because we are not fully connected to our soul, and so we act from trying to get our needs met from the outside in, instead of the inside out. And so by living that way, trying to fulfill your needs from the outside instead of the connection to the soul is just going to always lead you down the wrong path, create conflicts, misery, suffering, pain, because you're not going about it the right way. So as long as people aren't connected to their souls, you know, they're gonna go round and round, and the best way I can describe it is like sweeping. And this is shows that I'm from Texas, right? That it's just like sweeping a dirt floor. You just pushing dirt one way and another, but the floor never gets clean, and that's literally where humanity is and will continue to be, sweeping a dirt floor, because until everyone's really connected to their soul and living that way, and of course it's a personal choice to do that, you know, we're going to be sweeping a dirt floor. So anyway, but part of the difficulty with knowing what to do the right thing, it's what the right thing to do is that in this case, say with Oppenheimer, is that he felt like that to stop evil, and for him, in this case, probably was primarily Hitler, that the bomb could help bring peace and keep peace. The issue is that what it does is that once it's created, it becomes in the hands of people that you don't know if they're going to really use it in the right way for the right reasons, in order, and so because power is ultimately corrupts, and in that it could be used instead of protecting humanity from evil, right? It could be used in the like they say, absolute power corrupts. That if they had the absolute power, like in this case, United States with the atomic bomb, then that may lead to corruption of its leaders, who then could use power, to, in essence, control the whole world, right? So, and in essence, do it for the wrong reasons in the wrong way, and to ultimately not be benefiting humankind. And so I think that was a really big concern. So and I think that's something he struggled with after it was created, and then he sort of lost control of it, and it came under control of the government, that then he became really concerned about, oh gosh, how is this going to be used going forward, and so I think that shows the difficulty because the power instinct is still one of the I guess you could say the animal instinct that arises once the other powers have been sufficiently mastered, and so it's just another thing to tangle with, but can also get I guess controlled or taken in by the ego, and therefore it can become a very what people might say become a evil, like a demonic power, right? When the ego gets taken over with the power instinct. And so and that is concerning, and it can happen. And so this is why we need checks and balances in governments and in this world to help prevent those who get overtaken by the power instinct, and so that would also be a reflection to the internal war. Individuals, who are overcome by the power instinct, that would also be an internal war that goes external. In essence, they have failed to master and control that power instinct so that it works for the good of humanity. Instead, it has become a means by which, in essence, to become powerful and then do your own bidding as you wish without concern for others. And so, so I think that's really, I think that's the main thing I wanted to say about this. I think I said, I honestly think I said it so much better the first time I recorded it, and but those are, I guess, really the highlights. The first time I recorded, I also hadn't seen the movie, and now I have, and so I think that so I think have a better understanding too, as well, of the complexity of the Oppenheimer, I guess, the man, and I guess his personal internal war and conflict with regards to having created the atom bomb. So anyway, but I just think, yeah, those are the highlights. How people we all come from our limited perspective. We analyze sacred text from that perspective, and that it's good to do it in a group in order to get a better understanding, not only of the text itself, but also maybe avoid interpreting it in the wrong way, and also to understand people better and get a really good sense of other people's perspectives, even when reading the same exact words. So I hope this video works out good, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And thank you for watching this again if you viewed it the first time. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye bye.